How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another brand new video on the Reading the Bible with ErickMars. Wow, look at my new room. Okay, we're gonna move past. Look, I just did this. I think it's cool. Anyway, we're gonna jump into Second Kings, ladies and gentlemen. I finished Second Kings, yet another Bible, another book in the Bible, and I'm excited because I want to go into specifically one thing that I highlighted, and that was the only thing I highlighted. I'm not saying that there was not a lot of stuff that I wanted to like highlight. There definitely was, but I didn't have my highlighter at the time, and I kind of skipped it, and I unfortunately wasn't able to remember where it was. But that doesn't mean I don't remember anything. So I have a couple stuff to talk about, but let's get started. Kings chapter 4, and I actually want to read all of it, so it's gonna go all the way down to 7. I'm not gonna read the rest of chapter 4, but let's get started. Elisha helps a poor widow. One day the widow of a member of the group of prophets came to Elisha and cried out, "My husband who served you is dead, and you know how he feared the Lord. But now a creditor has come threatening to take my 2 sons as slaves. What will I do to help you?" Elisha asked. "Tell me, what do you have in the house?" "Nothing at all, except a flask of olive oil," he replied, and Elisha said, "Borrow as many empty jars as you can from your friends and neighbors. Then go into your house with your sons and shut the door behind you. Pour olive oil from the flask into the jars, setting each one aside when it's filled." So she did as she was told. Her son kept bringing jars to her, and she filled one after another. Soon every container was full to the brim. "Bring me another jar," she said to one of her sons. "There aren't any more," he told her, and then the olive oil stopped flowing. When she told the man of God what had happened, he said to her, "Now sell the olive oil, and you and your sons can live on what is left over." Okay, so a huge thing. I know I don't ever talk about the future books in the Bible, but doesn't this just exactly sounds like Jesus when he puts his hands over the jars of water and turns it into wine in the wedding? Like, this is such an amazing callback, because it's like, whoa, God is, it only proves God is working the same way as he was yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Now, there's another thing I do want to talk about, and that is where Second Kings is taking us. And the only way for me to do that is talking about First Samuel, Second Samuel, First Kings, and then Second Kings. So consider it as a roller coaster. You're on the ride and you're going up. First Samuel is the start of it going up. We meet Second Samuel. We meet David, young David. This is like him coming into the picture. Him before he hits and takes down a Goliath. I guess Second Samuel. We already did that. So by the time he peaked, here's the problem. First Kings, we go downhill, and it gets really bad. It's continuously horrible, actually. So the next king comes along, and if you haven't seen First Samuel, Second Samuel, and First Kings, go ahead and check that out on the top right. Your left, I guess. I have no idea. But the point is, it's going downhill. Second Kings, First Kings, it talks about all the new kings coming in, right? So let's say it's a 14-year-old kid, like a child, ruling over all of Israel, and that's obviously a horrible freaking thing to do, because he has no leadership, he has no wisdom, he has no foundation on that, so he's just doing whatever he wants. And obviously, if you've seen Game of Thrones, that's basically what's happening. It's just really bad, and it specifically says that that person did nothing good for God, or in God's eyes. Then the next king comes around, and he does it also. Now, mind you, during this time, there is a church where people are worshiping God, right? The God that we're talking about, and all the other gods in the world that they knew of, and that are worshiping demons, right? These are false gods. So now you're following this leader, which is a 14-year-old kid, and it's still really bad. The next one, it never lets up until, and I'm talking about, like, I'm not saying like he's a 14-year-old kid for like 1 year. No, I'm talking about like 14 years. The next one's like 4 years. I got no clue. But like, it's like that. It's like continuous until we meet, I believe his name is Malachi. Okay, I cannot find specifically his name. I believe it's something with an M, Malachi, something like that. But it's definitely around Kings 24. I would say verse 8 and below, you would eventually find who it is that I'm referring to. I just couldn't highlight it. But basically, so this person comes along, and before him there was someone else that was also still doing bad things, and he was living in the world for whatever. But the next one came over, and it was a king that didn't do wrong in God's eyes. Like, he just genuinely wasn't doing bad things, but he didn't go to the temple and said, "Hey, no more of these statues. Like, let's just put them all down." No, he let that stay. So notice how it was like, okay, he was doing good things, but yet at the same time he wasn't doing his job as like a leader, right? So he's not a leader. So that's a big takeaway on that. You're gonna meet a lot of people that are gonna claim to be leaders, but in reality, in secret, they're not truly doing that, right? So now we're moving to the next guy, which is Malik. I believe it's Malik, but I also believe that it's his son that's doing it. So his son, we need to do a lot better. We need to follow God, and then not just that, but let's go to the temple and call all the priests. And when I mean priests, I don't mean God's priests, right? The people from your church. No, I'm talking about the priests that are specifically encouraging these idols, right, to being worshipped, right? And so he calls all of them, and he even puts it out as a statement and says, "Guards, take account everywhere." I have no idea what just happened. Take account everywhere, and if there is a priest that's hiding from a false priest, I guess I could say that, a false priest hiding, kill him. That's literally straight up. He said that to the guards, right? And so all the guards were on that, and they were walking around and they were hunting them down. All the other priests that did go to the kingdom, or to the castle, not the castle, the temple, right there, he killed them all. That's tough. And then he also threw, or destroyed all the shrines, knocked them all over, and then burned the freaking temple down. Like, he destroyed it completely. So this was the first time ever out of so many years that of people like continuously making an effort, being like, okay, for 40 years we're just gonna go there, and then I'm gonna pass away, and my sons and my children are gonna do the same thing. So for decades upon decades, they've been following and worshiping these things. And so here it comes the problem that I want to kind of talk about. Sometimes it's not about religion, and sometimes it's not even about relationship. It's passed down, inheritable of what I need to do, and it's not necessarily real religion. So here's the really bad part about it. So let's assume that you were born as one of these children of these people that were just living in the city, and they just did that. They to the church or to the temple, and they worshiped 40 different gods. And this was during the time when you actually heard something back, or experienced something like that. So you were convinced into it, but walking in it, you were just inheriting it. Like, oh, my mom and my dad are doing it, and I did that too for Catholic. I used to be a Catholic when I was young. I guess I wasn't a Catholic because I was literally a child, but I went to the churches. I think I did it like 4 or 5 times. I have no idea. But eventually, I decided not to go anymore. I was so young, I didn't want to wake up. And also, it was a complete different language, so I didn't know what they were even saying. But the truth is, that's how it is sometimes. Some people just say, "Oh yeah, I'm a Christian," or "Yeah, I'm a Catholic," or "Yeah, I'm a whatever," but they're not, because it's just inherited by their parents because they went. And well, I guess I have to go. And well, if they are, then I am, and I guess I'm inheriting it. There's no true relationship, and there's no religion, but that's okay. We don't care about religion. We care about relationship. Okay, it's super important to understand your history within religion. You're gonna realize it's really bad because there's a lot of contradiction on people saying that they're Christian, like I told you about the false prophets. And obviously, if you read what the Gospels say, Jesus says it specifically. But to stay on topic, I want to talk about the relationship. How often are you giving yourself peace, giving yourself the ability to talk to God and be like, "Hey, I need your help. I'm struggling," and you do this. Right. So he knocks it all down. He brings it all down. And finally, there was a stabilized moment where it's just like, I wouldn't say an up. I guess it is an up because it's a huge change. But with so much just downwards, it almost feels like it just finally went straight. If you think about it like in the graph, it's just going down for so long and it finally went straight. But I guess it spiked. It really did jumped up because he really went out of his way to tear down something that has been a part of the culture, right? I do this because it's culture. I do that because it's this, and my parents did it when I was younger, so I got to do it now. All that stuff. It was canceled. It was just It was just like, boom. Here's the new move. Here's a new plan. We're not doing this. We're not following these 40 different gods or whatever. So this leads us to the end of 2 Kings. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next book I'm reading is First Chronicles. I am excited. I'm gonna be completely honest. What I'm gonna stumble upon, I don't have no idea what I'm gonna get into, but there is some honorable mentions before I finish this video. Number one, we met Isaiah. That's a really important thing. It's spoken, I guess, not briefly, but like a good chunk. But I feel like his story will come. I don't. Maybe that's actually funny. Maybe that's coming right now on Chronicles. But I'm happy that I finally finished the book, and that's just my notes. That's my takeaway. That doesn't mean that that's all you're gonna see. I recommend, highly recommend going back and reading for yourself. Okay, if you're waiting on my videos so you could read, unquote, the Bible with me, you're missing out. I mean, like, there's things that I'm missing out, and I know in the future I'll come back to it and I'll be like, whoa. And I currently am. I do Bible studies at my church, and there's just moments where I just love hearing what people have to say and the connections that they like to make, and that is fruitful, you know. So I guess that's the reason why you're watching these videos. But to tell you the truth, that's not reading the Bible. Going to Bible studies is not reading the Bible. You need to read it on your own. Take time away. If you have family situations going on, or you have work, or you have anything, literally anything and other, it doesn't matter. Put God first, right? And you would feel peace, and you can consider that as a reward. But I'm being sincere with you. Don't go for that as a motive, right? Just sincerely do it for your heart, for your mind, and for your soul, because God speaks to you in many different ways, and the scriptures can speak to you in that way. But I highly recommend it. So anyway, I do appreciate you all. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was a short video, but I couldn't really find, you know, overwhelming things, and that's the part of it. That's the reason why I tell you, read it on your own and for yourself. But anyway, God bless you all. Take care, and I can't wait to film the next one. Peace.